morning, everybody. Welcome to the news you missed. I'm joined by my co-host Warren Thornton, and wow, all I can say is this world is tipsy-turvy, upside down, and back to front. How you doing this morning, Warren?
I'm doing absolutely fine, thank you, Paul. And I hope everybody out there watching is doing fine too. I'm certainly doing much better than Ursula von der Leyen. Ursula, of course, has been caught doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And what she's been caught doing is turning around and saying that her GPS was targeted on her plane that was going to crash the plane. Now, very, very quickly, it came out from all sorts of flight recorders that nothing of the sort had happened. They said they went to maps to land the plane. Wow, a lot of pilots do that every single day. And of course, you have to log a flight plan, which of course they forgot about. And they said they were circling for over an hour while they were trying to get everything working again. It turned out it was for 11 minutes. They were in a holding pattern, which is nothing new. And Bulgaria have now come out and said there were no problems whatsoever from their airport whatsoever to do with the GPS. And if there was any glitches, it was on their end. That didn't stop Ursula von der Leyen, the Western press, and almost everybody coming out and accusing Russia of interfering with the GPS, even though thousands of miles away. And of course, she has egg on her face once again.
Do you know what, Warren? This just looks like she just wants to be at the center of attention and just to keep her relevant, I guess, because she's not exactly doing very well out there, is she?
No, she's not. She's absolutely detested by the Chinese, the Russians, absolutely everybody. Nobody wants to talk to her. Even Trump told her basically to shut up the other day. If you remember, she went the return of the children that Russia are holding, and of course there's only 330 odd. And of course the Russia have said you can have them back, but produce the parents, and we'll let you have them. Not a problem at all. But she said this, and Trump turned around and said, yes, but we're not here to talk about that, just basically dismissing her completely. So she is persona non grata, but she's still a dangerous idiot who could have started an escalation in the war by coming out with this nonsense.
Wow. Well, my first story of the day, and just when you thought Robert F. Kennedy was untouchable, in Washington, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. clashed with Democrats in a fiery Senate hearing over vaccines and his management of the CDC and NIH. Kennedy declared the US the sickest country in the world and defended firing senior health officials, saying they failed to protect Americans. Democrats blasted him as reckless and even a charlatan, warning his actions are fueling distrust in public health. Kennedy pushed back, insisting he's not anti-vaccine but pro-science, while Republicans and Democrats alike raised alarm about his leadership. Warren, we see this everywhere. America is one of, if not the sickest country in the world. One of the things they targeted him with, do you know how many COVID deaths there were? And he went, well, no, nobody knows. Because you could have been decapitated in a car crash and they would have put it down to COVID. That's how crazy and stupid it was in those 2 years, 3 years of COVID. He's doing something amazing. He's reversing the poison that we have been putting in our bodies. And no more so, I went to Disney 2023. Everybody walked around with those discs on their arms. America is sick to the core. It needs fixing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. And of course, we've had that series of leaked emails, haven't we, where they turned around and said that they want to disrupt Kennedy as much as humanly possible, the high-ranking officials at the CDC. I would say the CDC is sicker than most of the American people, and it is a cancerous thing that needs to be cut out because they work hand in hand with the drug companies. The CDC is there to check the drug companies, not work for them. And it needs a whole clear out, to be honest with you. And I'm 100% behind RFK on this.
Couldn't agree more, Warren.
Somebody who I am not behind at all, of course, is Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer has once again met with the coalition of the willing or the not so willing. They're not going to put troops in without American backstop. Keir Starmer's turning around and saying, we're going to give long-range missiles. I thought you were already doing that with the Storm Shadows. However, of course, the last 11 Storm Shadows have been shot out the sky. It's been the same old nonsense rhetoric. Russia bad. What are we going to do? Boots on the ground. America are not going to agree. A coalition of the willing. We've got 30 odd countries ready to go in once there's a ceasefire. Guess what? There will be no ceasefire because Russia will not allow NATO troops on Ukrainian soil. I mean, it's a very, very straightforward thing, Paul, and it's the same tired old faces, the same tired old rubbish. And of course, Witkoff was there to listen, and Zelensky, Macron, and everybody came away without, shall we say, much given to them by America, who are still, in the phone call that Macron and Zelensky have had with Trump. Trump has still not given any security guarantees whatsoever, and so he shouldn't.
Couldn't agree more. And on the back end of that story, Warren, tensions between Israel and France are escalating. Israel's foreign minister says President Emmanuel Macron is not welcome in the country after Macron vowed to formally recognise Palestinian statehood at the upcoming UN General Assembly. Officials argue such a move undermines Israel's security and dismiss Palestinian leadership as unreliable. Prime Minister Netanyahu has already declined Macron's request to visit before the summit, while Macron continues to call for a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages.
Yeah, absolutely. It is quite staggering that Macron is trying to be sort of this wonderful deal maker and Napoleon across the world. And the West are having a hard time realizing that the sensible people are all living in the East at the moment. The only sensible European leader we've got out there is Viktor Orban and maybe Vucic and maybe one or two others. But when you look at the likes of Starmer, Merz, Macron, I've never known it be any worse than it is now, Paul.
Oh, 100%. They're all exposing themselves as just
Yeah.
warmongers. That's all they are warmongers. And it's all about precious resources. Somehow, the cabal have turned, quite frankly, an abundance on this planet, everything we need, into a very finite resource that we need to fight over. And people out there need to see this because this world has everything we need. We do not need to fight over it.
No, exactly that. We can all get along, which is exactly what the SCO was all about, with people getting on. And if anything, the West is causing themselves more problems because they've driven China and India closer together, and North Korea are now in from the cold, and they had literally third place. Russia had first place, obviously, in this meeting of the coalition, and of course North Korea were right up there as well. Kim Jong Un travelled, would you believe? And suddenly, you've got India as well. So it's going to get worse and worse and worse. While we're talking about China, have a little look at this. This is the drone interceptors that the Chinese have got. Now, of course, we've had the Western media coming out and saying it's complete nonsense and all the rest of it. The whole parade was AI, apparently, and everything that they're coming out with. It really is a desperate cope. And these lasers are now being mass produced by the Chinese, and they are capable of taking missiles down from over 2,000 meters away, and they're able to taking down drones from over 8,000 meters away. These are laser targeting devices that work off the latest Chinese technology. And as you know, we get to go to the embassy, so we've seen these things being tested in the field.
Wow. Uh, Future technology is here already, isn't it, Warren? And we're starting to see more and more come out
Yes.
now. My next story: President Trump plans to sign an executive order to rebrand the Pentagon as the Department of War, reviving the original name used from 1789 until 1947. While Congress must approve any official change, the Pentagon will be allowed to use the new title in the meantime. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth, a longtime supporter of the move, has promoted it on social media and hinted that his role may shift under the new structure. The announcement is part of a broader effort by the administration to reshape military culture and leadership. By the sounds of it, he's trying to make Americans' military great again, is the only way I can see this.
Yes, I think it might be slightly the wrong thing to do. I mean, you might as well call it the Department of bombing the crap out of everybody. But it's one of those. He is trying. It might be an idea. Of course, they call it all sorts of things, don't they? but at least somebody's calling it by what it is rather than the Department of Defence. You're not a Department of Defence if you sail somewhere and bomb the living daylights out of somebody else. That's not defensive at all. Somebody who is on the defensive, Paul Brooker, is Zelensky, and for good reason. That this has happened. We have had a torchlight Nazi Azov parade in Kavoy Rog, which is Zelensky's hometown. And of course, he's already been getting stick left, right, and centre because his second in command actually has double cross grenades on his arm lapel, which basically his arm badge, which shows part of the Derwanger Brigade or the symbols for the Derwanger Brigade of the Waffen SS. And now we have had this massive neo-Nazi parade inside Azov parade, literally celebrating Stefan Bandera, who was, of course, a fervent Nazi. And this comes on the back, of course, of revelations that, of course, they have a national holiday in this neo-Nazi's actual honour of his death. So they have a national holiday in Ukraine. And, of course, now they're having torchlit parades in Zelensky's own town.
That's not good, is it, Warren? And you've been reporting for a long time now that Nazis are alive and strong in Ukraine. And we've seen it all over. We've seen the badges, we've seen the flags, we've seen all sorts. That does not tell us anything else but Nazis are in Ukraine currently, which is bonkers how Europe can be backing it.
Yes, absolutely. I think, but the trouble is, they've got a few people, haven't they, in the European Union, Paul, whose granddaddies, shall we say, are less than covered in glory.
Very much so. We'll let everyone out there go do a little bit of searching on that one. Well, my next story, in Washington, Congress has released the so-called missing minute of security footage from outside Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell on the night of his death. The new video contradicts earlier claims that the footage automatically reset each night, erasing 1 minute. While the footage shows a guard walking away just before midnight, experts note it's lower quality and missing key metadata. Epstein's death remains ruled as suicide, but the release has fueled fresh controversy over possible cover-ups and unanswered questions. Warren, they're just not doing themselves any favour. You can just see more and more fingers are pointing at the Epstein case, the Epstein list, everything.
Dig a hole. They have literally reached rock bottom on this, and they're showing signs of beginning to dig. Everybody's talking about this missing minute. What, a missing minute of nothing to go with a missing 10 hours of nothing. There's nothing to see here. Look, here's a video of an empty cell, or an empty corridor, I should say, which is nowhere near the cell. But here's the thing that is really troubling here. The longer this goes on, the more people think there is a cover-up. Everybody knows that there is a list out there, a phone book and a flight log, an address book. Let's get everybody in. Let's have a question to them, or the questions that need to be answered. And then very, very simply, if there's nothing to see here, Gov Honest, we can release them without a stain on their character. We can give a public statement to say, we've questioned this person about their shall we say, contacts with Jeffrey Epstein, and there is nothing to see here. He is now gone. And if there is something to see, and the victims getting together and weaponising it against Donald Trump is awful as well. You know, at the end of the day, this was going on long, long, long ago. It's not just Trump. Trump is, at the moment, he's got to rely on people to release it. If people are not releasing it, that's the deep state working against Trump, not the other way around.
Yeah, yeah. And as we've seen, a lot of the victims have said Trump's nothing to do with this. But when there are extremely powerful people on this list, he's got to tread carefully in getting this done the right way. And I believe the people are the only way to do this. We've got to scream and shout loud enough to demand this list to be released.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that base. One person who is trying to do some good out there as well is Nick Griffin. Now, he's got a lot to say. He is the former BNP, would you believe, leader and former MEP. Now, this person was once called the most racist man in Britain. You may not know that he actually stopped the Syrian war at one point. Sounds like a racist thing to do, doesn't it? He actually stopped the Syrian war, and he'll be our guest tonight on the show on warrenthornton.com for 2 hours. And not only will he be talking about the upcoming protests, but he'll be giving his views on Ukraine and everything else. And he's a fascinating character to listen to.
Wow. Sounds like you're going to have a wonderful show this evening. And just for everyone out there, I do hop on with Warren from time to time, and the shows take interesting turns sometimes. Well, my last story of the day. The French women's boxing team has been barred from the World Championships in Liverpool after missing the deadline for mandatory genetic sex tests. France
Wow.
banned such testing, so the team sent athletes to a UK lab, but results weren't delivered in time. Five French boxers, along with athletes from Nigeria, Fiji, the Philippines, and the Dominican Republic, are affected. World Boxing says federations are responsible for ensuring tests are completed, leaving many fighters unable to compete despite prior assurances. Do you know what, Warren? Reading between the lines here, I don't think the test results came back like they hoped they would.
Let's put it this way. I think they should be allowed to box. I think every one of them are really good guys. There we go. It's one of those. Let's have a look at this. And while we're talking about absurdity, my last story is mainstream media. Um, could they get any worse? However, they've redeemed themselves with this, Paul, because they've come out with this stunning revelation. It's a brilliant piece of investigative journalism. And of course, everybody must be very aware. China may be using the sea to hide its submarines. I don't know about you, Paul, but I never knew that sort of thing went on or existed. And can I just say to the mainstream media, jolly well done. That is some fantastic investigative work.
Warren, I've got to ask, what bit of mainstream media is that?
That's not only appeared in the Telegraph, it's appeared in the Daily Mail, also various other publications around the globe.
Oh, that has to be an absolute wind up. Otherwise, I mean, the exposure on mainstream media is hilarious as it is, but that just puts a bit of whipped cream on top of your dessert, doesn't it?
It does.
That was the news you missed on the 5th of September 2025. Thanks for joining us. As you've seen today, this world is quite interesting at times. And for all of those out there who are confused about what's going on in the world, head over to charlieward.com, join the Insiders Club, join us live every Wednesday and Saturday, where we have guests on, like the wonderful Warren Thornton, to help us try and understand what's going on out there in the world. And you, the audience, can ask us questions. So all that's left for me to say is to take care, God bless, and see you all soon. Bye now.
Goodbye.